Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train Your Dragon podcast. I'm your host HC, and with me are, as always,
Rush 2112.
And Voyager. Hello.
and today we are finally discussing the main character of this entire franchise, the one that you see on the title card with each episode. And no, it's not Toothless yet. We're of course talking about our lovable, dorky, currently Chief of Berk, Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. So, what do we think about Hiccup?
You can go first, Voyager.
I'll admit, when the movies came out and I was a little bit younger, I thought Hiccup was a total heartthrob. I was totally into it. And then, as I went on, I don't know, to be honest, Hiccup's always been the main character. You know, he's always going to be the main character. But I started to, focus on other people within the show and the movies. And Hiccup's less of a heartthrob for me now. I'm sorry to admit it.
Is that just is that just a perspective of how he looks, or just his personality? Because I'm assuming when you were younger, it was just how he looked, as that's how everything happens when you're young. You don't care about personality.
I mean, yeah, probably. You'd have to go back and ask my younger self how I felt about that. Yeah, let's just end that with yeah.
Great Scott Rush, we have to go back!
We have to go back.
And that was my lame Doc Brown impression. But okay, continue.
Wrong franchise, man.
I know.
Yeah. I like Hiccup as a character. I really identify closely with just how, mostly his sarcasm. I don't know when I became so sarcastic, but it was probably around the same age as he was, 15 in the first movie. It's kind of weird how some in some ways our lives are parallel. I do have my left leg, by the way, so nobody freak out. But like I said, I'm sarcastic. I was very, very small in high school, and now I went from 5'1" to 6'2" in my high school career. Although I filled out a little bit more than him, so I'm not still a fishbone when I'm tall. And also I wasn't very popular, but then I got into football, and my increased height definitely gained me some friends and stuff, and I found my own group, basically, like he did.
Awesome.
So, always find him as... I'm always rooting for Hiccup, even when he does dumb stuff.
Okay, so in terms of me, there are a lot of characters from movies and shows that I watch that I feel a few similarities with, but Hiccup seems the one that I attach to the most, because with other characters I'm like, yeah, I'm like that guy or girl sometimes on that front, but not really on the other front. But Hiccup is just someone once told me that if I was a cartoon character, I would most likely be him, and I'm cool with that. He's awesome.
And he also has a
And
Night Fury.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said, and he also has a Night Fury. You go, Voyager. Sorry.
It's okay. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. My friends told me that I'd be Dagger all the time.
Fair enough.
Okay, that would be an interesting topic for the Dagger episode, but I have time until then. But yeah, if no one could tell by a few episodes of this podcast, I am a pretty sarcastic guy. I'm not ashamed of that. And yeah, like Hiccup himself. And I also had, in junior high, I was kind of the laughingstock of my classmates. You know, kids can be cruel. So I know what he was going through at the beginning of movie 1, and yeah, if you can tell, I have a nasally voice like his, not exactly like his, but yeah, that's So I find him really relatable, and also him and Toothless are like me and my dog, almost
Oh,
one to one.
absolutely. My dog is actually in my room right now, and he's
Aww.
curled up, and he loves me as much as I love him. So definitely relate to that, having a buddy right there. And he listens very
Yeah.
well, and he also doesn't listen like Toothless. He's very sassy sometimes.
And my dog still knows that whenever he licks me, it doesn't wash off, but he still does it. Okay, so that's pretty much how we relate to Hiccup. Now, what we like about him the most? I'll just say it right now: sarcasm.
I totally agree with that sarcasm. I also like um, just how quickly he can switch from, awkward, gangly guy to being a serious leader. You can kind of see that in the TV show more than the movies, because the first movie, there's only the instance where he's like, he basically switches from sad to when he's talking with Astrid over the cliff. He's like, oh, thanks for summing that up and stuff like that. Then he's like, I have an idea. We're gonna do this. And in the
Yes.
second movie, it's kind of like when he's sad about his dad, and then he says, "We're going back," very seriously. So the movies don't really give you as many moments, because that's kind of like supposed to be the climax of the movie, turning point. The
Yeah.
TV show gets you a lot more. So definitely shown off in the TV show.
Boy,
Right. I
Joe?
don't. You said that he like switches from being, kind of nerdy, gangly, awkward guy to being a leader. I would disagree and say that he's always has and always will be the awkward guy. But there are just moments where you can tell that he cares so much about a situation or about, a dragon or a person, that he takes control of it to help them. And the core of who he is never goes away. It's always just something else helps him, encourages him to step up to the plate and be the leader that he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Can I defend my point? What I meant to say was like how he can be awkward 1 minute and then switch to leader. Not he was gonna stay leader. It's kind of like, I'm joking around. Okay, I'm serious. But then he can go back. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And also, a thing I like about him is the fact that after he loses the leg, yeah, at the end of movie one, as I call it now, um, he like he has the difficulties of living with a prosthetic leg, but at the same time he also found a way to embrace it and make it useful for himself. Like he, as we can see in the second movie, he changed his leg. His leg has like this flight mode, walking mode, and in the Blu-ray extras for movie 2, he actually has a special leg for walking on ice.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's been a while since I've seen the Blu-ray extra as part of that. But yeah, I do. He does have that.
so yeah, that's pretty cool. That is well, I'm disabled, but I might as well make the most use out of it. And actually, in Defenders, there's the episode with the speed stingers, where one of them stings him in the prosthetic leg, but it doesn't affect him, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't expect that." So I like that he can use this disadvantage to his advantage. I like that.
Yeah, and that actually brought up a good point, that Hiccup's also very resourceful in situations. Obviously, he can make his leg out of everything. In several different episodes, whether in Riders Berk, Defenders of Berk, or in I think the most recent season. Actually, no, sorry, the second season of Race to the Edge. Wait, sorry, the second group of episodes from the first season.
Yeah,
Hiccup has taken Toothless's tail has been destroyed somehow, and Toothless has been able to fix it, either with, in the Race to the Edge, he fixed it with a ship sail.
yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, in Defenders and Riders of Berk, he snuck into the Outcast forge and made it himself. Made one of the connecting rods, I think it was. And so yeah, just he's a obviously everybody knows he's a smart guy, so he obviously can change his situation to his advantage.
Yes. Okay, so just to sum up what we like about them, favorite Hiccup line, and you only get one, so choose wisely.
Damn. Voyager, you can go first. I gotta think about this.
Alright, well, excuse me, barmaid. I'm afraid you brought me the wrong offspring. I ordered an extra large boy with beefy arms, extra guts, and glory on the side. This is a talking fish bone.
Well made. Well made
Yes.
choice.
Oh, by the way, that's a great precedent. Anytime we have a Hiccup line, we have to imitate him.
I'll try. But okay, so I'll go second because I have the best line ever. It's so out of context. Like, if you say that line out of context, you'll never guess the situation, and I just love it. So, let me take you to a territory we haven't charted yet. The shorts. Are you with me?
Not quite.
Okay, so Legend of the Bone Upper. The gang is trapped, and the Bone Upper is Adam, and Hiccup suddenly understands what makes this dragon upset, and he goes, "Garber, take off your pants."
Yeah,
yes.
I remember that.
That was funny. The reaction of the writers after that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the line itself. It's just that if you say that line out of context at any situation, no one is going to get why he says it and what's the intention behind it. So that's why I love it.
Another, quick before I say my favorite line, one of the funniest things I think in there is, just because I can just think about all of the situations you can say that, is when Gobber, after he's like on the ground and the bone napper's in front of him, he says, "Well, you got me. Make it quick."
Yeah.
And that's just like, I've always think that, like, if my mom caught me, I don't know, cheating on homework or something, it's like, "Well, you got me. Make it quick." But and I've been deciding between two, but you said only one, so I'm gonna go with my favorite line. Obviously, that's what we're saying. I'm gonna go with the line from How to Train Your Dragon. Da da da, we're dead. Because that's just the sarcasm. That's just pure Hiccup right there. I can't get over that.
Yeah, that's okay. So you know what? Let's make a runner-up. Let's choose another one.
I just liked Rush's impression of Hiccup. That was pretty good.
Yep, that's pretty good.
If I do really good impressions of a lot of things, my booming voice gives me opportunities to go high and low. So I do make lots of Hiccup comments every day. Thank God we're not recording just my normal life, because I will make a lot of sarcastic Hiccup comments. But as for the runner-up, in my foreign vine handle at the bottom, I do. So this is in, to give context, Riders of Berk, or maybe it's Defenders of Berk. It's Time to Skrill.
Okay.
It's the part 2, or it's actually part 1 before the second part. After Snotlout gets struck by lightning, and he tries to talk, it's like, "Snotlout, we can't understand you," and then Toughnut says, "Yes, we can." He says, "I'm fine," and basically they get to the point where they're saying, it's like, "I can speak Snotlout and lightning," and then Hiccup says, "How many times has this kid been struck by lightning?" And just the fact, just the line itself. It's not that it's mostly Hiccup saying it, it's just the context that I think is...
Yeah, exactly. That's okay. Voyager, got something, or can I go with mine?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Riders of Berk, I believe it's the episode where they raise a little, what was it, Typhoon, I think. Yeah, so I believe it's that episode where Toothless seems to be jealous of the fact that Hiccup is taking care of another dragon, and he says something along the lines of, "Wait a minute, let me find this."
I think I know what you're bringing up. I can guess it already.
Okay, so just let me find it again. "It seems like Toothless is jealous, which is great, so my first girlfriend is my dragon."
And then Gobber says, something else we have in common.
Yeah.
I knew it.
The shipping between Gabber and Grump that we might have started now. Ugh. Why did we do that?
Well, there is a reason why he never married.
Yeah. And that's because Craig Ferguson...
No, we gotta save that for the Gobber episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll save it for that.
We'll save. Definitely, that's a good thing to save.
So, Roger, your runner-up?
I don't know if I really have one. I think I'll just go with the generic line, not generic, but very iconic line that's in all of the movies. We have dragons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one to choose.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from things we like about Hiccup, let's discuss the maybe one thing we don't like. Anyone want to start with that? Because I have to think about this one.
I already got one. I was actually watching Race to the Edge last night because my school starts tomorrow. Got to get something in before summer ends, right?
Yes.
And so I was thinking, it's just kind of annoys me. I know this is probably just a writer thing, but they make Hiccup so naive. And like I know I said at the beginning, even when he's wrong and dumb, I'm still with him. It still annoys me. So it's just something I don't like, that he can always be so naive and gullible.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll save my thoughts about that for when we discuss the Race to the Edge seasons. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that then. Voyager?
I think it would probably be, like, particularly in the show, his intolerance of, like, Snotlout and the twins. And I know that, like, the fact that he gets annoyed by them so often makes them even funnier, but at the same time, it kind of makes me a little bit mad that he doesn't appreciate their genius. I don't know.
Interesting.
There you go.
And I don't know if this is ironic or not, but my choice is also from the show. That we see that at the beginning of the movie one, we actually see that he's the laughingstock of the village, that no one believes in him, no one gives him a chance because, let's face it, he's a screw up. But then in the show, when somebody else messes up, like, let's say, well, not Gustav, because I hate that little kid, but in the last batch of episode there was one of the earlier ones with fish legs, who discovers that the one that started with traditional animation.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I-
one where he followed the leader, I think.
Yeah, follow the leader, exactly. So there's a point there where like fish legs messes up and or nothing that major, if I remember correctly, and Hiccup like he doesn't yell at them or shouts at them or something, but he does go, I'm not mad, I'm more disappointed. And I don't know, dude, you've been in that situation before, you know what it's like. Don't you think you can, couldn't you think this, couldn't you word it a bit differently?
Yeah, that's like the iconic sucky part of any movie or conflict. It's like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. And that's really, I can remember just several situations where from movies or TV shows where like they're more devastated about disappointment than madness, which is just in
But
general how it always works.
Yeah, but to be fair, that line sums up exactly my thoughts about the DC movies, but that's another topic which is not related to this. Okay, so
Oh, man.
we said what we like about them, what we don't like about them. Let's go over them in the franchise overall. I guess I already stated that when I saw the trailers for movie 1, I thought I was going to hate the movie and by extension him, but when I saw him, I liked him. Like the first monologue he has, like he explains the entire life routine of the village in very few lines, and with his usual jokes and quips, and that made me like him. And also the fact that he has wishes, but you can see he's not built to do what the other villagers do. So that's when I sympathize with him. Like, I know what he's going through. That's the point where I start liking him. What drew you to him when you first saw the movie? Rush, for you, it's How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yeah, well, in the second movie, like I said, and back in that recording, I wasn't more about the characters. I was more about the animation, because I was computer science. I'm doing graphics as my focus. So when I went back to the first movie, it's kind of like what you said. It was that he was kind of the loser. At that time, I was still well into my past the awkward phase of my life, but I still remembered, like, oh, that is kind of how I felt. And also the sarcasm, like I said before, that really drew me to him. That made him extremely relatable, because that's kind of how I was. I've always been cynical and sarcastic, and I still am. If you get to know me, so don't get to know me. But that's just the thing.
But we have to.
It was his it was his personality. So that's really how I got drawn into Hiccup as a character.
And I'd have to agree with you both, kind of, and just say that it was the first monologue, just this, guy who didn't fit in. And, in some respects, everyone feels like they don't fit in, to something or other, so it makes him immediately relatable to everybody. And I think that's something that's one of the great things about Hiccup.
Yeah, so since we discussed the first movie already in great depth, thank you, Wolf, for helping us with that. I'm jumping to Gift of the Night Fury. One of the things I found really, which it's the fact that he brings back everyone's dragons, even though he didn't fight Toothless, and it's like, if I can be happy, at least my friends, family, and villagers can be happy. So I like that part, where even though he didn't find Toothless, he still cares about the rest.
Yeah, I can't remember if this was just me thinking about it or if I saw this somewhere else. So if you're listening to this and this was your idea, sorry for taking credit. But somebody said that their favorite property of Hiccup was his selflessness, and I can basically see that in a lot of things like that. He always tries to fix other people's problems before his own. Until Vigo happens, then he's trying to fix that problem altogether.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on to the show, there's not much to say really, because I guess, you know what, as we discussed, the things we don't like about them come from the show, and I think it also goes for the show that they make him more flawed and not the perfect hero.
Yeah, but that's kind of...
I think that's part of it. Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say. Go on, Voyager.
I think that's part of it, but I think also the thing is with the show, they are bridging the gap between 2 points of progress in his character. So if you go from the first movie to the second movie without the show, we already have a lot of character development just in between those 2 movies that we just know happens. So then for the show, particularly Race to the Edge, to come back in between the first and the second movies with us having the knowledge of everything that's already that's going to happen in the future, there's not much room for him to grow or change, because it's already kind of preordained what he's going to be like. So just from the fact that he doesn't really have the chance to develop in any new, particularly unexpected ways. I feel like they put in, other little things to try and keep his character, alive and interesting in between the movies.
Yeah,
so maybe that's just me.
Yeah, but there's the other thing with Race to the Edge, which it puts him against an enemy he's never faced, which is an enemy that matches his brains. I'm talking about Vigo, of course. So It's nice to see. It's nice to see him when he doesn't exactly know if he's going to win this one or not, because let's say with Dagger or Alvin or Riker, and to some extent Drago, I can't really mention him because chronologically and everything, but he always had the advantage that he's not he's not strong, but he's going to use his brains to figure out a solution to beat the threat. But now the threat has the same power that he has, and Hiccup beat Vigo only once so far, am I correct?
Twice if you count the Buffalo Soldier as well. Unless that was the one you're counting.
Um, I think that was the one I was counting.
I say he kind of beats Vigo when he releases all the dragons. Even though Vigo has the gold, I still count it as a victory because he basically saved the dragons in the end.
It's a tie, in my opinion.
That's actually a better way to look at it.
So that's what I have to say about the show. He comes against an enemy which matches him, his one strength. So
yeah,
you know,
that gives you a chance to see the other side of Hiccup, the unsure, because I can't handle this type of problem. It gives you the look at Hiccup has been doing everything alone for his whole life, and even though he has friends to help him, he still kind of has this idea that he has to do it himself, which you can see plenty of times when he goes off on his own without anybody else saying, I got to fix this on my own, stuff like that. In the first movie, you get a sense of, where is my place? I'm trying to be one of you, but then he finds Toothless and he's like, wait, I don't want to be one of you. I want to make my own identity, which is then part of the whole, then it becomes the whole identity of Berk itself, and then he's like, okay, I fit in now. The first batch of TV shows, Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, those are more of just, servicing to what's everyday life like. He's not really trying to, it's really not really about Hiccup, it's more about character development in those two seasons, which is kind of funny, how you go from a movie with the main character to a TV show that it does keep Hiccup at the center, but it's more about fitting the dragons into Berk as opposed to, more what is going on with their life instead. They fix the problems of the dragons, not like, we have dragons now, let's go explore the world. Because that's exactly what I would have done if I had a dragon.
hell yeah.
Yeah, I love to fly. And then you get to Race to the Edge, where they fixed all their problems with the dragons. Now, what do they do? Now they explore the world, right? So they go exploring. Of course, then Dagger escapes, and they have to deal with that from a random outpost, just in the middle away from home. And you get to see, this is where the character development comes along to show, to cater towards the movie. This shows them, okay, well, we have the second movie come out. This is kind of on what you guys said. So the second movie comes out, then we come back, and we're a little bit before, but we want to show how the characters got to where they are. You could actually not even have the context of the first Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, and they could still use this Race to the Edge as just a, as a context of saying, this is the transformation. You wouldn't have as much of the background story as saying, well, the twins are complete goofballs. You could have seen that from the first movie, but if you didn't see Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, you wouldn't see how bad they were.
The show made the twins a lot more goofy.
Exactly, and you'd say, well, they were just more into fighting and stuff, but now they're like complete goofballs in the TV show, huh? So I guess that's kind of how the Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk does. It gives you a little bit of their characters, with a lot of filler. And then Race to the Edge basically takes all that development and solidifies it into the movie, the second movie, as a turn. And with Hiccup, it's taking him from being an awkward leader who's kind of unsure of himself to a leader who basically knows what he's doing, Um, Granted, it gets tossed up by Vigo, but he still has a good hold of what he wants to do. Um, and then moving on to the second movie, you get Hiccup, who now we're assuming Vigo's taken
Yeah,
care
actually,
of.
before we jump into movie two, there's one thing I want to mention about Race to the Edge is that, in terms of his design in that show, it seems like they tried to balance his original design and the How to Train Your Dragon 2 design, which not only does it make sense in terms of the timeline, but it also shows that he's he's halfway to where he's at the second movie at the beginning of it, but he still has some of the qualities of the young Hiccup we met at the first movie.
I see what you mean, and I think that goes along with the fact that in the second movie, kind of what I was saying. I'll just give you this, and then we can wait. I'll just wait and save the other part for later. In the second movie, he doesn't have Vigo to deal with anymore, so you kind of don't get to see his leadership side that he takes upon when he's with the Dragon Riders. Basically, that's kind of what I was getting at. How the qualities aren't necessarily the qualities of Race to the Edge, like you said, are mixed with a little bit of the previous first movie and then the second movie halfway style. And I think that's because it's just a different situation.
Okay, so moving on to How to Train a Dragon 2. Voyager, what do you have to say? You've been quiet for a while.
No, it's mostly my fault. I've been talking a lot.
No, I don't know. You guys are bigger Hiccup experts than I am. Like I said at the beginning, I, had a huge interest in Hiccup in the first movie. Just from being a young girl. I don't know, just finding something to crush on or whatever. I don't even know. That's since dropped, and I don't know. I haven't, stopped paying attention to Hiccup. At the same time, I just haven't ever looked at him with the depth that you guys do. I don't think I have anything to actually add that is not semi-joking, so I'll let you guys go
Hey,
first.
Hiccup loves semi-jokes, right?
Yeah, just share your thoughts about what you thought about him in the second movie. That's it.
Okay, I think that the I think that the second movie showed Hiccup's weakness a lot like we're seeing right now in Race to the Edge. You've mentioned before how that he can be very naive at times. Just the fact that the entire movie he thought that he could speak to Drago and, fix everything when we were getting flashbacks and indications that he's clearly not the guy that's going to be turned around with words. That got me a little bit. I think it was the thing with meeting Valka is that it ended up being more about Stoic and Valka and not Hiccup, as because they got reunited. I don't know what I'm saying actually, but I feel like they got reunited as a family, so it's the three of them. But at the same time, it ended up being more of a focus on the two parents instead of Hiccup, even though, it's just a big mix of things, the second movie. Like, you have your overarching villain, but you also have all this little stuff going on. And I feel like Hiccup gets a little bit mixed up in it, and even though he remains the main character and the hero the entire time, and he's the connecting factor, all of the individual events are just kind of a mix of character development that's a little bit hard to explain.
I can see where you're coming from, looking at it like that.
Okay, for me, in 2, I do like how he's eager to try and solve the threat without the need for a fight. He says, you know what, this Drago dude, he thinks he wants to rule the world with dragons. Let me talk to him. And he's eager about this because he believes that his father was the worst in terms of accepting dragons. So So I like the fact that he's so eager about trying this out, and not in the sense of, oh, I'm going to kick this guy's ass, I have a Night Fury as my best friend. No, he actually wants to sit down, talk to this guy, and try to make him see everything with a bit of sense. And that's admirable. That, in a way, that's a sign of a good leader, not one that leads his tribe to to a head-on war. He tries to solve this peacefully first. If it comes down to a fight, he will fight. But before the fighting, let's try and settle this like adults, for lack of a better term. And I also like the fact that when he meets Valka, he sees that a lot of his weirdness sort of came from her. Because the side that likes dragons and was crazy enough to try and befriend one.
And the quote, "Now you know where I get my dramatic flair."
Yes, exactly. And also it runs in the family.
Yeah.
So I okay, you know what I mean. I like how he tries to approach the situation, and about his discovery about who he is. And also I love the speech he gives when at Strick's funeral, where he stands like his position. He stands where you see the light of the ship burning. It's like he stepped into his father's position, and then he says, I don't know if I can be him, but I can try. And at the end of it, we see that he's going to be a different chief than Stuik, but he still gets the job done.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just the way Hiccup has gone through the second movie, kind of like I said at the end, he was all carefree in the first part, and then a new villain shows up, and he's been going about non-violently for as long as he could with when he had Toothless. He didn't use violence until he had to, and I feel like they're probably gonna do something Race to the Edge. This is one of my other potentially horribly wrong predictions, but I feel like they're going to use Vigo as a tool to give Hiccup the idea that he can talk to people, or talk sense to people. Like, Hiccup's going to change Vigo's mind through talking. That'd be kind of a weird way to go out, I'll be honest. But that would kind of make sense to give Hiccup the idea that he can change people through, persuasion. And I do agree with Voyager in the fact that he's a little too persistent in trying to change his mind, even after his mom, who frees the dragons, who has faced Drago before, I'm assuming, says there's no changing Drago, and he still tries. And it basically, although most people probably wouldn't blame Hiccup, it basically does in the end get his father killed. Just not trying to take out Drago, trying to talk some sense into him. And that'll probably change Hiccup. He'll probably try and keep... It's hard to predict what's going to happen in the third movie, because there's so many different things that could happen. But if they showed it well after, I think he'd probably try and keep negotiations down. He'd probably, before somebody talks sense into him, he'd probably basically isolate Berk from the rest of civilization. Just so nothing like that would happen again. But we also do get to see the side of Hiccup that realizes, hey, we need action, we need to fix this, and we all need to do it together. Like Cohen said, the funeral scene, he turns around and says, we have to go back. So that's his deterministic side. And as I said in the very beginning, he switches from sad to very, very serious and very determined there. And that's one of the things that I like about Hiccup.
Okay. So to wrap this up, the final topic of discussion about Hiccup is, what do you see for his future? And by that I mean the graphic novels and How to Train a Dragon 3. What is your prediction for what's going to happen with him? Who wants to start?
I'll go first. So, in terms of being a chief, he'll probably have I don't know, I can't remember what kind of complex it's called, but he basically will think he's not doing a good job and he'll wear himself down. And everybody like, you're doing a great job. He's like, no, I need to do better. How could my dad did everything and he never blinked an eye or batted an eye, whatever the phrase is. And he'll be worried about himself. And then there's the other side of things where he'll try to assume more chiefly duties as well. And probably, I mean, everybody's thinking that he's probably going to get married to Ashley before the series ends. There's that. And in terms of how he's going to deal with the dragons, I guess I'm just going to leave that one to the third movie because there's all the speculation about what's going to happen in the third movie. So I'm not gonna make predictions on that for once.
Okay, Voyager, your turn.
Third movie, I would like a beard. If Hiccup has a beard, I think the crush is back on, honestly. But other than that...
wait, hold on. Sorry, before you go. What kind of beard? The close-to-face beard, the stoic big beard, or... So the two types of beards, the stoic beard or the spite-lout beard, the one that's close to the face, or somewhere in between.
And there's the third kind of beard, the Dumbledore beard.
Yeah.
You know what? I will take any beard. I would like to see any beard on Hiccup. I'm very curious.
Okay. Sorry.
Somebody Photoshop that and send it to our Twitter or something. We will love to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Sorry, continue, Voyager, continue.
Yeah. Anything else but the beard.
Right, Hiccup and his Dumbledore beard are going to...
How would he write Toothless with that big of a beard, now that I think about it?
It becomes his new safety straps. He just ties the hair into like where he would normally like clip the hooks.
He bungees off
very
of
strong,
Toothless.
by the way. It is. Been proven by science.
Yeah, he bungees off of Toothless. Man, I need to see that. My god, that would be amazing. I'm with you on that.
So majestic.
Yeah, so...
You know what, I don't think there needs to be any other predictions. I'm just gonna go with Hiccup and a Dumbledore beard.
Dumbledore beard, there we go.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Okay, so... Just to quickly sum it up, at what we saw the sneak peek for the graphic novel, it seems like everybody remembered Strick in some way, and at the end when they talk about they ask Hiccup, you're the only one who hasn't said anything, do you have anything to add? And he says something about Dad used to do this all the time when he went to battles. So I think the graphic novels, also because they take place right after How to Train a Dragon 2, they will probably be how he's adapting to the role of Chief. And by the time, I don't know how much the graphic novels and movie 3 will connect, but it will most likely be the graphic novels will be about him adapting to the role, and by the third movie he will be he will already know the role. He will already know what it's like to be Chief.
That's a good point. Sorry, I have something to say, but I'll save it for after because you had something else to say.
I also think, don't exactly sure how to phrase it, but I think he will have to do something that he doesn't want to do at the end of 3. I don't know what, but it seems the most logical because it's a coming-of-age story. One of the things you learn as you grow up is that sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So
definitely. That is a good prediction. I agree with that there, that last one. And that actually kind of what you said about the graphic novel kind of gave me an idea. In terms of the first movie and second movie, there's a lot of gray area. If there was no TV episodes or shows whatsoever, you'd be like, wow, he really just matured. What happened? It's kind of like, I think that's kind of why they do the TV show and the graphic novels. They're using them as connection to show integration Uh,
Like you can watch the movies alone and follow the story fine, but the show and the novels help.
yeah, I think they use a lot of assumptions in the like to jump 5 years and just say everything's been we've all changed and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it you can understand it, but it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of a big jump, but it's possible, right? And so the third movie, like you said, he'll be in chiefing, and you can say, if you don't have the graphic novel to show him getting into chiefing, then you're like, wow, that seems like he did it way too easily. But like you said, they're going to use, if they do use the graphic novels to show his easing into the chief, that's a good connection right there.
Yeah, okay, so one last thing which I thought about, and this is going to be mostly Voyager and I because we have some experience with the books. So,
Yes, continue.
sorry, Rush, you are not going to falsely predict anything this time.
I
Mostly
predict
because,
I haven't read the books yet.
yeah. And also the books ended, I think. 12 was the last one, right?
Yep, they're done.
Okay, so you are going to predict the Broadway musicals they will do, which will be book 13.
Mm. Sure
Yeah,
thing.
okay,
Not
so
that bad, I swear.
it's a Harry Potter reference. No offense there. So, Voyager, you have more experience with the books than me because I only read the first one. So, in terms of comparison, do you like book Hiccup more or the movie one?
Oh, that's a hard one. I've made a lot of jokes about like having a crush on Hiccup or whatever, but honestly, I like his character like you guys like his character. Um, and the thing that might keep me from feeling the same way about Book Hiccup is that Book Hiccup is a lot younger than movie Hiccup, and just because of the age difference, I relate to movie Hiccup more in that respect.
He can have a
But
beard, the book one can't.
yeah, uh, but as far as which one I like more, I think they're different enough that I can't compare them or choose one over the other because they are both Hiccup and they both have dragons, but they both had very different experiences. And even though, we're supposedly going to get the same ending out of both series, I don't think it's right to like try to compare them and choose a favorite because I think both adventures are really really great on their own.
Yeah, so in terms of, from what I know, again, I only read the first one. Um, mm, for an adaptation that doesn't follow the source material that closely, Hiccup is one of those elements that was kept pretty much the same when they adapted it. But I think there's one thing I don't actually. Voyager, does it ever explain? Is it ever explained how Hiccup learned Dragonese in the books?
Um, that's a detail you'd have to look up. I don't remember exactly if they explained it.
Okay, because as is, it's like in the books, the thing that makes him special and eventually triumphant is something like, oh, okay, that's convenient. But in the movies, it's something that you can understand more, which is he's smart, he's resourceful, he can approach a problem and come out on top, which in terms of story it makes more sense than, oh, it just happens to know the language the dragons are speaking.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that in the books he is similarly resourceful. I think the books have
No,
a lot more.
I'm not saying he's not smart in the books. On the contrary, just the big thing that sets him apart in terms of dragons. That's what I'm talking about. Because
Okay.
because what sets him apart in the movie is that he's the supposedly the first one to befriend the dragon and ride one. In the books, it's just, oh, he knows the language they speak. Okay, how does he know that? And,
Well,
if it's explained later, good. But from what I know, from my experience,
I'll just end with this: that Hiccup in the movies he's special because he trained the first dragon and made friends with Toothless. I think that Hiccup in the books, he's special because he also has a similar like resourcefulness and ability to get out of situations, but he also has a talent with dragons in the books, and I think it's less about it's less about questioning why he has it and just knowing that he does have this talent that sets him apart a little bit, and that helps. Even though it doesn't make him the hero automatically, it helps him out a bit along the way. And I'm not sure that I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. I'm not sure that it's like I don't know, like not a negative thing, but just like something that just needs to be questioned. I think it's just part of what book Hiccup is.
okay. Okay. So anything fun to add, just to end this?
I got nothing. Voyager, do you have your random question of the week?
I do. Are you ready?
Yes.
Bring it on.
Nice. Lay it on us.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Dang it. Mine is also blue.
Hey, nothing wrong about it.
I was going to say blue, so there you go, blue.
Okay, so on that anticlimactic note, now you know we all like the color blue, and you know what? Other than blue, what's your favorite color other than blue?
Red is my second.
Voyager?
Now the artist side of me is trying to like go through all the different hues and be like turquoise or something.
Yeah, mauve, the fancy. Oh, I like crimson. Oh,
no.
that reminds me of fish legs in Riders of Berk when Astrid says, "Look, it's red. Technically, it's crimson."
Yeah.
Astrid just, what it is? That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so any final answer to that?
Nah.
Okay, so my second favorite color is orange.
That's cool. You both got a cool and a warm color there.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so
I'm no
that's
artist.
it for. I think that's it for this episode of the Berkcast, the How to Train a Dragon podcast. I was HC.
I'm Rush 2112, otherwise known as Hiccup.
And I'm Voyager.
Okay, so we hope you had fun with us because we had fun with us. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We are. What's our
Twitter is here. Let me open it up. I have it on my computer, so that way I can just directly tweet from there. It is at Berkcast, capital B, capital C.
Awesome. So check us there, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. And just remember, we have
Dragons.
yes.
Yeah.
So see ya.
Bye.
Bye.